Henery the Engine. Henery the Engine was in the middle of a particularly enjoyable dream. It was his favourite, about his grandfather, the Duke of Richmond. He was an express. Oh, those were the days, sighed Henery, as he saw, in his dream, his grandfather come tearing round a steep curve, somewhere round about Carlisle, with a super noise of his whistle, whee, and his smoke, chudder, 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 the great pistons driving the mighty wheels with a chump, 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 ever so fast. All you could see was steam. Usually the Duke pulled a train so long that way after he'd passed you, there would still be carriages coming out of some tunnel, full of people laughing and squealing, because the lights always went out in tunnels in those days. Henery tried to settle more comfortably so he could dream what happened next. But something was niggling away in his mind, saying, get up, wake up, you lazy boy. Today is a special day. Henery was interested enough to open one eye, but he had to close it again straight away, because the sunlight on this Monday morning was very strong indeed. Henery didn't like Monday mornings very much. The men who worked in his engine shed made such a clatter with their tools, pretending to work especially hard, and they would wash him all over and force gallons of oily tea into him before he was properly awake. Anyway, he opened both eyes with a start and saw immediately what all the fuss was about. Albert, his personal mechanic, a sort of butler really, was polishing a beautiful brass plate on his side that said Henery in very big posh letters on a red background, which did look splendid against his green belly. I mean, stomach. We have to be very polite about Henery, because he is very important. And this is his great day. There was a great crowd of people, completely ignoring all his friends and neighbours in the engine shed, and all excitedly pointing at him. Chattering away and looking pretty silly, thought Henery, in their best clothes in his untidy shed. There was even the mayor, with a top hat and a big chain round his neck, and the mayor's wife, the Lady Mayoress of St. Margaret's, no less, the most dignified lady in the whole of the county of Middlesex. She was very tall, much bigger than the mayor, who made up for being short by being round, with a tummy even bigger than most of the engines in the shed. Henery liked the Lady Mayoress. She always smiled and talked to him. She was coming over to him now with a huge hat full of feathers and a pussycat in her arms. Henery cleared his throat, perhaps a little too enthusiastically, because he made a big noise. Hurrah! And black smoke poured down his nose, scaring some little boys and girls out of their wits. "Good morning, my dear Henery," said the Mayoress, nodding her head charmingly to him. "How very nice to see you looking so well on this great day." Then Henery remembered what day it was. He was going to run all the way from King's Cross Station to Edinburgh. In Scotland, for heaven's sake. Faster than anyone had ever run before. Not a very good idea for a Monday morning. Henery suddenly felt very tired, but managed a little smile for the Lady Mayoress all the same. But hooray, hooray, there was no time for feeling tired. A brass band swept into the shed, led by a big man with puffing red cheeks going dum-dum-dum on an enormous drum. Then 10 men playing trumpets, some others with great brass instruments. They looked like trombones, and even a very, very big thing that almost hid the man playing it completely. That will be a euphonium, thought Henery, but he was only guessing. At the end were Scottish soldiers in kilts playing Scottish bagpipes. What a horrible Scottish noise! Henery pulled a face, and so did the children, so he wasn't alone. He might be running to Scotland, and would expect a proper welcome when he got there. Something stronger than tea and cakes. Henery smiled a little bit in anticipation. But there was no reason why he should like Scottish music. After all, he thought, a little huffily, I am an English engine, and I'm proud of it. Henery was so important that he had 2 engine drivers, and here they came in their very best uniforms. They looked so splendid, Henery scarcely recognized them, but he didn't forget his manners. "Good morning, David." "Good morning, Jonathan," he said chirpily, and to show how much he liked them, he added, "Jonathan and David, I wish you a very special Monday morning." Normally, when David and Jonathan arrived, it would be alley up and away. But for some reason, today, they stood respectfully to one side. In fact, everyone, even the children, seemed to be standing to attention. Why? Because the station master hadn't come yet. But here he was. My goodness, what a dashing figure! Very tall, in shiny cap with gold braid and medals on his chest. Of course, he had a silver whistle to blow at the trains, and a gold chain across the front of his waistcoat with a big watch on the end that he was looking at now. 7:45 on the dot, he said to himself with satisfaction. Station masters are always on time. He had a list of people who were to go with Henery to Scotland. Can you guess who was top of the list? David and Jonathan, naturally, the drivers. But today was a special day, so Henery had some extra special people to help him. "Aaron Burgess!" shouted the station master. Aaron came out of the cafeteria when he heard his name. He was always drinking tea and reading his paper right up to the last minute. Aaron was to be the guard, so he had a red flag to say stop and a green flag to say go, as well as a whistle and a notebook and pencil. Also, being Aaron, he had a big packet of sandwiches in his pocket, cheese and tomato, with a boiled egg and a sausage, just in case. Scotland is a long way away, you know, nearly 400 miles. You can get very hungry going to Scotland, but not Aaron. He didn't care that his pockets were all bulgy. He was going to have a picnic. A very elegant young lady was getting into a carriage in the middle of the train marked Restaurant Car. "Miss Charlotte Burgess," the station master announced just in time. "Your hostess." She smiled sweetly at him and said, "Call me Charlie." The station master blushed because she was very pretty and cleared his throat. He began his speech. "My lords, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to give an official send-off." Henery began to feel heavy. His eyes felt full of sand, and his feet were getting sore with all the standing around. By the time the station master had got round to thanking British Rail for all their worthy endeavours in making Henery's trip to Scotland possible, Henery was snoring away most heartily and sweeping through the countryside with his grandfather, the Duke of Richmond, again, in his favourite dream. You won't believe what happened next. The Lady Mayoress stepped up onto Henery's chin and smashed a bottle of champagne on his nose. Bang went the bottle, and bubbles splashed all over his face. What a way to wake up. And on a Monday morning, too. Charlie gave the mayoress some flowers and then ran round the back to the restaurant car as Aaron blew his whistle and waved his green flag. Go! David and Jonathan flicked on the switches, pressed the buttons, let off the brakes. Hooray! Said the crowd, waving their hats, handkerchiefs and flags in the air. 3 cheers for Henery! Shouted the mayor. Brah! Snorted Henery, much louder than anybody else, and they were off. Henery's journey is on the other side of this tape. Please turn over.